Hello, I'm Bugzilla, and I'm gonna be trying out Bubsy Less Bad Edition by NoPLo.
What could possibly go wrong?
Played Bubsy a few times recently. Ever since I got the perfect collection, I decided to try playing it more often. If I were to be completely honest, I haven't really done many full runs of the original game without using rewind in a few spots, where I felt a death was more or less caused by something out of my control. But I did try playing this mod, or rather ROM hack, earlier, and with the changes introduced, it felt a bit more fair, and I was actually able to complete that without having to rewind at all. So now, I'm gonna try to beat the whole game without using rewind, playing this through the Mesen emulator, which does have that feature. But I'm planning on not using it much, or even at all for this. There. Flew over the point that triggers the shock animation. But it plays here. See if I can get back, get a few more lines. In my earlier playthrough of this, where I didn't use rewind, I still ended up taking a few deaths that were more or less my fault. But with this, how this game's designed, at its core, you're gonna have to accept that sometimes you die because of being a bit more reckless than you should have been. Like right there, I could have died if I didn't glide in time. Changing the yarn to give you a life at each 100 makes it a lot easier to accumulate a bunch of lives. But it's still pretty easy to lose a bunch in a row if you aren't careful. So I feel like this makes the game a bit more accessible, while still keeping the whole classic lives feature. Easy to get continue, just in case something happens. Using the camera to lock the screen here so that I can just stand there and get all the yarn from that.
mention I don't like heights?
Funny he mentions that for this level, because another thing with this ROM hack is that you don't take fall damage. Bubsy may not like heights, but he can sure take them now. Bunch of careful jumps. I hope you are not too bored with this commentary I have, because I've never really done something like this, where I play a game while I have my mic active, but I wanted to be able to talk during this in order to get my ideas about this, my thoughts, while I'm playing. You know, like moments like this, I might not be talking, but something comes up, I'll have maybe one or two things to say. Yeah, so one thing this changes is that instead of dying to cheese, you just lose yarn. Which I feel as though makes a bit of sense. Makes more sense for an enemy or some more dangerous projectile to kill Bubsy instead of the cheese. Almost fell into the spikes there. Let's see if I can take the hot path on the water in this stage. Take out that enemy and get the yarn box at a checkpoint. Yep. But like I said at the start of this, I actually only really got into Bubsy because of the Perfect Collection. Being able to play through all the games with achievements for beating each world, even with the V1, got me to properly like understand the levels more, and I actually gained some level of appreciation for how these games turned out. Even if other people don't like them, I get why people don't, but I feel like maybe some of the dislike towards Bubsy was just overly mean. A lot of it stemmed from angry reviewers trying to just play up the negative traits of the game. It's like, that's their job, that's what they're supposed to do, being angry reviewers, but some of it ends up being a lot of misinformation or just lying about a game in order to play it up as bad. some stuff said about this game in reviews like that. It is truthful, but then they just get certain aspects of it wrong, like, I'm just thinking of the JonTron thing where he gets hit by the manhole cover and interprets that as fall damage. Even though he does get hit with proper fall damage in another part of the same clip. So, it's been a mentality of mine more recently than ever, just if there's something about a game that I want to know, I'll probably look into it for myself then just believe the word of someone else.
More like a bridge too short.
Alright, go back in here. See, how do I close this? Then take the top half. Again, eggs and cheese are not as dangerous anymore, so you can take a hit from them. Oh. That car almost got me. Keep going. Hope I don't. Another life from the yarn. Oh. I don't believe the notes mentioned anything about the gumball shutout from those, but I'm assuming they aren't changed. Which, to be fair, you do have to wait near them in order for them to shoot out the projectile. That's the first world done.
lose your hair back.
Jump. Careful. Oh. Nudge. Take me out. These don't hurt you when in the original they did, which only really made sense when they were in motion. Stationary roller coaster instantly killing you doesn't really make too much sense. A lot of weird design choices in this game originally.
Hey, I thought I saw Elvis back there.
This ROM hack does mitigate some of the issues with it. And you can hop in while it's moving a lot easier. And this one would take you by surprise. Now that 100 yarn gets you another life, you take a lot more care to try to collect as many as possible. Now here, this was an issue with the original version of this ROM hack. I don't know if an update to this will come out soon or not, but it's possible to lose yarn from a hit like an egg and drop your yarn below 100 and then be able to get more yarn in order to bring it back up to 100 and get another life. Which, personally, I see that as an issue because not many other games allow you to get away with that. And if this plans to be like an improvement thing, a glitch like that shouldn't be part of the experience. That's just my feeling on that, though. If you're fine with that, I guess it's not too much of an issue. You would have to go out of your way to take advantage of something like that. No fall damage. There's an enemy here, yep. Take that out. Do the scroll thing. There we go.
Shouldn't that be fearless? Uh-oh.
I don't know why, but that voice line has been one of my favorites ever since I heard it. I like the way he says, uh-oh. Oh. Weird interaction with hitboxes there. I typically go up here for this stage. I'm gonna try for this. There's something you can do in this area where you can glide inside of here. If I don't get it, then I'll... Nope, I got it. I would have completed the level normally if I didn't get it.
Well, it worked for Clint.
These train stages have some of my favorite music in the game. I really like this theme.
worked for Clint.
I haven't really been using LNR that much because I'm playing on keyboard. Whoops, again.
Well, it worked for Clint.
Oh. I would play this on a controller, but I got to load up the emulator I'm using to a different thing that lets me use it. Made up that life. Yeah. Make up another. That thing hit me from above. Oh, that. Let's see if I can take this. Man. Careful with where I'm aiming. Crap. Noticing all these enemies near checkpoints reminded me. There's another thing fixed about this. Certain levels have respawn points that happen to be right on top of an enemy, so you'd respawn on top of them and instantly die, and you'd be forced to game over, I think. Which would be a real shame to deal with if you don't have a continue.
Go ahead, make my day.
Realized I couldn't really mention why I haven't been using the L and R buttons. It's mostly because they're positioned on my keyboard. They're positioned in a place that isn't really the best for me to be able to hit them. Like when I'm moving like this, I'd have to set up my hand in a strange way. this was one of the prime examples of a enemy being on top of the respawn location of a checkpoint. I think you'd spawn around here and the enemy was also placed here. So, I guess the fix was putting it over the checkpoint itself, which makes sense. Because then you'd have to defeat it in order to use it. So I've only played this, like, a few times. And tried it out a little bit as soon as I found out about it. Then I did that playthrough with minimal rewind. And now I'm trying to do this without rewind again for this playthrough. Always felt this checkpoint was a weird inclusion, because the goal is literally right here. I guess the one enemy next to it justifies it being there.
My contract does not mention paint.
Jump. Bam. See if I can get this left. Oops.
My contract does not mention paint.
It's a weird thing to mention, but I feel like I gotta talk about it. Something I usually do, like any video game soundtrack I like, is when I'm playing it or even when I'm not, I'll like get back to it sometimes. Like when I'm listening to it, I just like humming along to it. There's a lot of games I love like humming along to the music of. And after playing through this,
My contract does not mention paint.
it's one of the other soundtracks I like humming along to the music with. I'm trying not to do it for this playthrough because I've always felt like if I do it near others, it comes off as annoying. But I don't know. I'm just still like doing it. How do I? Well, didn't jump right.
My contract does not mention paint.
lots of bananas. Yeah, these enemies, I don't exactly know what they are, but they have this movement pattern you gotta watch out for. See if I can. This place got me a few times. Last time I tried this. Just overall difficult with these moving rods. Hit arm instead of gliding, my bad. There's more up here. That's there. This boss is difficult because of all the woolly spawning from the ship. And the overall speed increasing. Shouldn't have glided right back into it. So now it's dead, but the real hard part is getting at all these without dying. Took a few lives, but again, it's easier to accumulate them now that age 100 is a life.
Yeah, I didn't like this stuff.
Now it's time for one of the biggest changes in this that I feel is worthy of talking about. So, in the original, this water would count as an instant death plane because Bubsy doesn't like water. But now, you can go under it. And you have different physics.
Yeah, I didn't like this stuff.
Honestly, it feels weird being able to do this, considering the first world had all those water hazards and you instantly died from those, but this does feel better than just having this count as an instant death plane. So, I'll give it that. This is allowed to be a thing. Initially, I was put off by it, but considering how this level is designed with a lot of stuff down here for when you adjust the water level, I feel like it's fine.
Yeah, I didn't like this stuff.
Whoops. Try going up. This is another track I kind of like humming along to. Oh. Well, I just found that out. You can still get hurt by projectiles in this mode. You, like, have the yarn thing trigger. And since it's an invincibility power, maybe that shouldn't be a thing. It does feel kind of weird having two different invincibility power-ups, one that works like a star and one that just makes you unable to get hurt. But just a weird quirk of Bubsy. Doesn't really care too much about doing the exact same thing as other platformers. They decided to make everything one-hit death. I got really lucky there. I did not know that spot was there. Damn. No. He's being mean to me.
Next time, I get a stunt cat.
If I were to be completely honest, this world and the one after it, I'm not too familiar with. I like just brush through these without memorizing the level design too much. Well, with the perfect collection, I've been just like loading up the game and trying to get to just whatever point I feel comfortable stopping at. And sometimes it's just like the train, or sometimes I try to beat the whole game. But again, a lot of V1 was used in my earlier playthroughs, which after I get more used to the game, probably through this, I'll try playing the game more without V1, because this is one of those games you gotta like, go out of your way to learn it, which is part of why I guess the viewers back then and some people now don't feel like they wanna engage with that. I feel like there's a way to get that continue. I just haven't learned.
Next time, I get a stunt cat.
It's through a door somewhere. Possibly. Yep. And then a bonus game. Which I do not know. They're all different in each level, so you'd have to learn those too. Water level switch. Oops.
Next time, I get a stunt cat.
This is not a good place to be in. All these flying fish. Let's try backtracking. Might be near the end, I think. This spike hits at the end of areas like this. No eggs, thank you. going the wrong way, but went out of my way just to get Yorn, to be honest. Oh, didn't even realize where I was.
Next time, I get a stunt cat.
Kind of makes me strange to deal with, because sometimes when the second enemy from it spawns, it like isn't just the right place to instantly kill you. Get that guy out of here, even though it's the end.
Is there a veterinarian in the audience?
This is another one of those levels where I'm not too familiar with the layout. This place is strange. Lots of divergent paths. One up in the middle. See if I can get him. Take care of this guy first. So it's there. If I can. Hey. What's this door? Progress. The lamp. Shadow shirt. Typically being down here would be bad, but again, you can just go under the water.
Is there a veterinarian in the audience?
Gonna. Let's try up here. Oh. That was a strange sequence, okay.
Is there a veterinarian in the audience?
That's gonna be funny to look back on. Oh.
Is there a veterinarian in the audience?
Okay, here's the checkpoint. Oh! Projectile hit. Oh, that scared me. Thing tossed me. I think this is where the boss is, right? Down here. And a lot of yarn. I really like this boss scene, but unfortunately it's attached to a pretty easy boss.
That's it. I'm out of here. You can't make me.
Didn't mean to skip that, but I don't know. When I'm recording this, it's pretty late at night. And I'm realizing I'm about at the half hour. Not half hour, my bad. 1 hour mark. And this is the last world of the game, so that. Yeah, I'm about ready to get this done as soon as possible. I think I found out about that skip through a tool assisted speedrun of this game. If I missed it, I would have played the level normally.
Oh, I can give up show business?
Oops. Don't hit me. Please don't hit me. I think these frogs were one of the few enemies, if not the only one, that initially had the lose yarn play out. Otherwise, nothing else did that. It's all instant kill. I think part of why people don't like Bubsy is because it feels as though it's not designed too well around the fact that everything's a one-hit death. Sonic, like, mitigates one-hit deaths by having things act as a safety thing, a safety measure. You're allowed to collect rings throughout a single level and either use them to consistently block damage or build up enough to get a 1-up. And Bubsy tries to be more like Mario's coins than Sonic's rings. So you're building up a bunch of yarn through a level in order to get an extra life. But I feel like the issue arises from the fact that you can't carry yarn across multiple levels, and you need basically as many as possible from a single level in order to get a chance at getting a 1-up, which both Mario and Sonic mitigate that by just needing 100. Bubsy needs a whole 500, typically. And Bubsy's yarn, at its core, it feels more like it should be like Sonic's rings, where they don't transfer between levels. And, well, with the example being the orange frog enemy, that just takes yarn away. Feels more like that's what should be happening when you get hit by things like this. I should just be punished with like a bunch or all my yarn being stripped away from me, instead of just instant death and going back to a checkpoint. And since yarn doesn't carry over between levels, you can't really build up enough to get extra life consistently, and you'd have to master a level, a dang near master level in order to get that 1-up.
Somebody 911.
Give it a you. One up. I don't think I mentioned it, but this level I really like the music of what is it? The Genesis version of this music. I feel like the loop of that fits it better. Because this one plays the first section, like, twice. And then it goes into the back part of it. Oh. This part. Whoops. That ending part of the song I really like. And in Genesis it gets to that sooner. But I'm not gonna be the kind of guy to... Oh, it happened to me again. I'm not gonna be the kind of guy to say...
Somebody dial 911.
That one version of music is better than the other. I feel like both the Genesis version and the SNES version have the strengths and weaknesses. But personally, I just feel like SNES versions of these tracks were what they were meant to be. They're closer to what they should have been. Again, I totally get why someone would like the Genesis version of the music. It's got a nice sound to it. It sounds pretty good for like, something in that sound font. But the instrumentation of the tracks in this SNES version just feel like a more fully realized version of the track. So that's why I personally prefer it. Sounds like what they wanted to do with it. On my channel I have mashups of both the Genesis and SNES versions of the tracks. Most of them are like based on the loops or speed of the Genesis versions just because of simplicity. I wanted like some sort of consistency when I made those mashups. Whoops.
Somebody dial 911.
And let's see. Yeah, Genesis doesn't really have these boss themes. Or not all of them. It only has the first two, I think. And the final boss, which is... Actually, I think it's part of the loop of the Genesis final level theme, so... That's weird. And... Whoops. This boss is also difficult with how much is going on. I'm trying to figure this out. Maybe I should start on that move. Alright, oh. Young. that. There we go.
Bo, are you still playing this thing?
Yes, I am. Whoops.
Bo, are you still playing this thing?
I also really like the ending level theme. I love this track. Sounds pretty triumphant. Even though it's like pretty obviously a parody of like the Star Wars theme, kinda. Still think it sounds pretty good. Is it this one? Yeah. I recently found out this leads to a bonus. Oh. Didn't make the best use of it, but you know, I'm still learning stuff with this game. I'm not gonna try to come off as like I'm a master of Bubsy. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm just personally, I feel like people are too hard on this game because they're not willing to go out of the way to learn even like the most basic of things with it, like the movement. Like when I saw that this VOD hack was a thing, a lot of people said, "Did you fix the jumping?" And like that again. There's like a lot of things about this that you just have to learn. The jumping physics in this are something that you could probably get used to after like, probably a few hours with the game. Like the way that momentum carries into stuff. Oh. Whoops.
Bo, are you still playing this thing?
Like, imagine if somebody didn't like the movement in Sonic, saying that, oh, I think the game's bad because it feels floaty. That's an argument about anything that I don't really like. Trying to describe it as floaty when that can mean so many different things. Is Bubsy a floaty game? In my opinion, it's not. Just because you have a glide doesn't mean it's floaty. Whoops. Just because they want you in the air a lot, again, doesn't mean it's floaty. Bubsy's got strange momentum when it comes to how it carries into jumps. Not the typical thing you'd expect from any sort of platformer. You expect something more fluid. But the glide itself is sort of like a band-aid fix. So a lot of things wrong with the game. And complaining about something like the fall damage or the landing hitbox of your basic jump not being that right, it can be fixed by pressing a single button. If you don't want to die of fall damage, you have a button that you can press that makes it so you won't die. A valid complaint of fall damage is from, like, say, a slide where you jump out of it and you aren't able to glide.
Are you still playing this thing?
That would be a completely valid reason to complain about it, right there. But in other cases, when you are still in full control of Bubsy, I don't think it's too valid to say that I should have died from fall damage when they introduce a mechanic that prevents it from being an issue entirely. Again, then again, I mean, it is strange to have it in a 2D platformer like this where there's big jumps to be made. And fall damage in a platformer does have its place in certain cases, but something like this, where levels can get big and open, and you can do great leaps, that does raise the question of why is it a thing. But taking in all of Bubsy and realizing it's supposed to be like a playable cartoon, that's when you gotta realize that's why it's here. Fall damage is supposed to be a funny thing that happens when you don't pay attention to what you're doing. That's one up. Let's see. Oh, I did it. There we go, I beat the entire game. Mainly through the help of the Bubsy less bad edition ROM hack. I win. Well, I guess you helped.
What could possibly go wrong?
So, I guess after beating this game, I should give my overall thoughts on, I guess, this and the ROM hack I played it through. The core version of Bubsy, again, is something I feel like people are not too fair with, even now. Because of a lot of different aspects with it, like how it comes off as a Sonic ripoff, and the strange design choices, and like how Bubsy comes off as a character through not just this game, but like other aspects of him. And I don't know, I've only liked Bubsy since September of 2025, and before then I didn't really know how to feel about him, because again, I don't really form full opinions on anything until I experience it for myself. And after playing through every single Bubsy game in the Perfect Collection, even with the rewind, I have come to the conclusion that Bubsy is not necessarily overhated, but hated from a misguided point of view, where like most of the dislike towards Bubsy comes from others' view of him as a character. and how they view his games. Because I feel like something like this one, Bubsy and Claws Encounters of the Fur Kind, and even Bubsy 3D, they're pretty solid if you can get past the initial entry point of needing to recognize these games will have flaws that can make or break your experience with them. But getting through that, accepting the flaws, and working past those will make you be able to appreciate not only the character but the games and the work put in to recognize it as, yeah, this is something worthy of not only me playing, but more people should be liking this. And something like this ROM hack that aims to improve multiple aspects of the game in order for it to be something that people are willing to actually give a chance instead of passing it off as inherently bad because of something like the fall damage or instant kills from things that shouldn't do that. That's something that a lot of games have had. So a lot of games have had things that come up from dedicated fans in order to make it a better experience for a newcomer or somebody who's already familiar with it. And yeah, it's a good thing to have something like this. Just there are some things with this ROM hack that I personally don't think ended up like, what's the word I'm looking for? Inherently causing a positive. Because, as you saw with my playthrough, I'm pretty, even with using a bunch of rewind, I'm pretty familiar with how the game works. So I was able to get lives through the 100 lives 1-ups. I mean, 100 yarn 1-ups, my bad. 100 yarn 1-ups and finding them throughout stages. And I was able to get a few continues through the stages as well. So even if I ended up running out of lives somehow, I would have been set. Granted, some of the deaths I had were from like genuine mistakes, and some of the deaths I should have had that aren't gonna happen with this ROM hack are just not a factor. But even with how many I accumulated, it appears that like 100 yarn, meaning a 1-up, can be like, it can lead to lives inflation. But in a game where one-hit deaths are common and just the mainstay of how the game functions, I feel like having a surplus of lives is pretty fair. Initially, I was put off by that and felt like it took away some of the challenge, but the challenge is still there in the parts it should be. Then, the water in the fourth world, I would call it. That water, being able to walk under it. I think I said it while I was playing it. Initially, again, it was off-putting. Being able to do that, considering the first world has water hazards that you can die from. But again, like reflecting on it now, it makes sense to have that. Like being able to go under that water, since there's parts of the level that are there for you to interact with, and the only way to do so is through small levers that a lot of players might not even notice even affects the water level, because they don't bother to go back down there after they learn touching the water is death. But yeah, overall, this ROM hack's a good option for anybody who won't, like, had even an inkling of wanting to get into Bubsy but just didn't bother because of like minor things, and having a feeling that it wouldn't be for them. I feel like you don't even need this ROM hack. You don't need it to be able to give this game a fair chance. You shouldn't need something like this in order to be able to give the game the fair shot any of them would deserve. There's games out there that I personally have not bothered to try yet because of my lacking of understanding of it, and just not being something I feel like I'd be into. But then, once I finally buckle down and decide to stick with it, that's when I'll probably find something I actually like engaging with. Um, Something that happened with me, it was in 2021 with platform fighters, thanks to Nick Brawl being like the gateway to my interest in platform fighters and that sort of thing. Something like that can push you to engaging with something more and more. And I'm glad for that. I'm glad that something can introduce me to like a genre, just a single thing that I genuinely like. Part of why I was talking over this was because I wanted that section to play, and not many people know about it. I found, again, something else I found out about Bubsy. Not, maybe not too recently, but like at some point, I found out this section of the song does play in the SNES version. I thought it was exclusive to the Genesis and Super Bubsy versions, but no, it's here. It's just part of a weird loop. But yeah, I'll pause the game now. Again, Bubsy Less Bad Edition is a good option for anybody who wants to try Bubsy without wanting to worry too much about any specific aspect and decides to change, like ruining the experience for them. Um, if you happen to watch through this whole thing, I want to say thank you for watching. And uh, if you liked if you like this sort of gameplay thing I did, please let me know because I'd be willing to do it again. I'd be willing to do this for other games I like. There's a whole bunch of different ones I've been replaying over and over again that I'd be willing to share my thoughts on while I play them. So again, yeah, thanks for watching. Please check out this ROM hack, and please give Bubsy a fair chance if you really feel like doing so. Bye.